You're that fucking retarded that you can't understand a single fucking point, like third world exploitation, then I don't know what the
Jesus fuck. There's no point in a productive economy if most maybe this never mind, dude. Maybe it's just like too maybe the topic is just too nuanced for most people to handle. Maybe what I should just be saying is like wages bad morals, pay more people more money. There. Is that better? Is that what you want to hear? All companies should pay more money, all the people should all be paid more money. All workers should be paid more money, pay more money to everyone.
What's happening? No, what's happening? What is he doing?
CEO bad, pay more money to workers, pay more money. There you go. Now I'm a real lefty, okay? I hope I get big on bread tube.
Think that like the left disavowed him too much or some shit? Like what? This is not normal, dude. Is he live right now? Can I ask a serious question? What's going on? What's happening? Destiny? Is this Spoilergate number 2? Like
now that I'm just every now and then I just have to have I should be down with all the fucking lefties in my community. Do a good cleansing, send them on their way to the Chapo subreddit.
Okay, but like for real, what's up? Like, what's your actual take on workers? Because one of the things that I was kind of shocked by is the fact that you talk quite frequently about the opportunity gap when it comes to like sports, or when it comes to like racial disparities, like the outcomes for people like black people in America and whatnot, and how that's different and that's a consequence of their environment. And then you made that take about like workers versus managers, as though like only more competent people become managers. And maybe I'm misunderstanding it. That's why I wanted to ask you.
On the average level, the average competency level of a manager is going to be higher than the average competency level of like of an employee would be. I think the general argument that I made, but that wasn't even like really the main argument. But yeah. What
is the main argument? What is frustrating you about leftist theory and leftist
I think it was just when they make like bullshit ass arguments about like anything relating to econ. It just gets irritating because it seems to take away from the conversation. So like when somebody is screaming about like how much money like CEOs make, I just don't see the purpose. There's nothing that we can or even should necessarily do directly about that, and it doesn't solve any problems to look at that, and it's just not really a relevant thing to talk about, I don't think.
Well, do you think that people mention CEO pays or CEO salaries to be like, oh, this person should not exist and we should take his salary and like distribute it evenly to 1.7 million McDonald's employees? Or do you think
there are literally like thousands of likes on tweets that say things like no one should ever be a billionaire? So I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Well, have you ever considered that that kind of wealth hoarding is genuinely a policy failure though? Like honestly.
It could be, but then let's talk about policies. Like let's talk about tax policy. Like if somebody were to say something like the idea that a wealthy person only pay an effective tax rate of 25% is fucking horrible. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But the idea that a CEO makes whatever times the amount of money that a normal employee makes, I don't know. It's a fucking good or bad thing or not. Like that's like a random dumb fucking point. Like why does that matter? Like it's just meant to shock and awe people, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like it means anything.
Well, I think they're good anecdotes that you can point to that could be extrapolated over actual data points, right? Like I think that's something that you can point to be like, wow, does that shock you? Well, it will probably also you'll probably also be shocked to find out that CEO pay and upper level management pay has increased while wages have remained stagnant in comparison to productivity also increasing in the past 40 years. Like, and then you tie that back to, I don't know, inelastic goods like healthcare and college education and even shelter in some places have skyrocketed in prices, whereas cheap commodities are much more affordable now. So it kind of seems like life is easier, and that we could actually afford a lot more goods. But in reality, our wages are our wages are comparatively low, and that it's not like our lives are not easier.
Sure.
So that's the reason why I think a lot of people point to the CEO pay. It's not because they think that you should genuinely take the CEO pay, like execute the CEO and like give it back to
like,
every individual
just seems
worker.
Like I guess like I'm just not interested in the appeals to emotion. It's so highly unrelated. Like it would feel like walking out to like Beverly Hills and being like, look at that disgusting fuck that drives a Lamborghini and all the workers are fucked. And you're like, what the fuck? What does Lamborghinis have to do with workers get fucked? And you're like, well, the disproportionate amount of earnings today in the United States allocates more income to high earners than low earners. And the fact that some people can afford Lamborghinis while other people can't drive is bad. And it's like, okay, wait, what the fuck? Why the fuck are we attacking Lamborghinis? Like, you're so far removed from the actual problem that I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about now. And then you get into these weird areas where people are just saying like, fuck all rich people and fuck all landlords and fuck all capitalists. Like, well, what the fuck? Like, what are we even solving at this point?
I think people being upset at landlords is for obvious reasons. It's like being upset at fucking cops. Like, sure, there might be some good landlords out there.
You're really making that comparison?
Sure, there might be some good landlords out there. Certainly, there are some good landlords out there.
Like, you're literally giving me a commie take right now. You're literally giving me a commie take that like all landlords, by virtue of being like capitalists, are basically bad people.
No. The issue is, I think a lot of people assign a lot of people assign make value judgments on people who are existing within that same system that they only were recently made aware is inherently flawed in a very significant way. So I'm certainly more understanding of people who are like, what the fuck do you mean being a landlord is bad, than being like, we should execute all landlords because we need a peasant uprising. And do like a landlord classicide. I think that is, but that is kind of LARPy, but also it's a vocal but very small minority of the.
I mean, you say small minority, but it seems like on most of the big lefty communities, like this is like the pervasive rhetoric. Like if I go to like the Chapo Cell subreddit, or if I look at like big lefty discourse online, like the tweets that are getting like thousands of fucking likes and shit, like it's always this like dipshit Chapo Cell LARPing bullshit, which is like eat all fucking landlords. And like half of these kids like fucking like I don't even know who's read more Marx, like the people on the right that debate him or the actual lefties themselves, because every single time a lefty comes on, it seems like they have no fucking idea what they're talking about, even when it comes to lefty theory. So like, I mean, I don't know, it's all of it is just like really obnoxious to me. Like I wish that people would just like focus on the main issues. Like fuck like the fact that there are billionaire CEOs. Like let's talk about the fact that people can't afford like Medicare, or not Medicare, people can't afford healthcare, or we need to do something related to these things that we can actually change, like tax policy or something like that, not just like focusing on demonizing CEOs.
A lot of leftists also abhor elections for that same reason that capitalist elections lead to capitalist outcomes that prop up owners of capital at the behest of and leave workers in the dust, basically. And this is something that you also understand as well. I believe in elections, so obviously I was recently arguing about this with my chat as well. But again, like anti-electoralists are again few and far between. It's not like there aren't that many like actual people who are like, I'm not going to vote because I'm abstaining because it's a moral, it's like the morally righteous choice. But I do understand in theory why some people would make that argument. It's
wait, make which argument? They're anti-democratic?
The arguments that reforming a system from within is ineffective, and the only thing you should be waiting for is the inevitable collapse of capitalism after centuries of state reform that still will not be able to prevent the
sure, yeah, and that's fine, and I can see those people. I just want to give like the hottest takes possible to remove those dipshit college LARPers from my fucking. Yeah, because I have no interest in ever engaging with that fantastical fucking delusion. How like fucking 95% of these kids couldn't tell the fucking ass end of a gun from the fucking handle or whatever, and are sitting here pretending like they're gonna be part of some insane fucking USSR. The closest thing these guys have been to a revolution is playing fucking Call of Duty on like their brother's fucking PlayStation. Like I have no interest in having these.
A lot of people are not that way anyway. Like I
don't know, man. A lot of the shit that I see with the LARPing on the fucking Chapo Cell Reddit and shit, it looks like it. Like, it's fucking cringe as fuck to me.
Okay. From the outside looking in, you might be hyper focusing on the most vocal elements of that subreddit, or things that stick out to you, kind of like how people who don't know your body of work might look at some of the outrageous claims that have been made about you and turn around and try to weaponize that against you. So that's, most people are being like, they're all irony poisoned degenerates like myself. So when they're expressing their anger towards landlords, they're not actually talking about like executing landlords. Some of them probably have fucking relatives or themselves have parents, like immediate parents that are landlords. They're talking about how the
I mean, I guess, but like you're walking
the abolition
like
of private property.
You're walking such a fine line at this point that like I don't want to try to fucking defend that. Like, I mean, like I can sit here and I can play. I can probably defend like hashtag white genocide on Twitter and talk about why there's a difference between hashtag white genocide versus people saying we should kill black people, blah blah blah. But when you start getting like when you have like Antifa exists and in some parts of the world it's a little stronger than other, and you've got subreddits full of people saying like kill all landlords and shit. Like, fuck, dude, that type of rhetoric that's really fucking hard to defend to any reasonable non-fucking lefty mind poison fuck, right? Like I'm not going to say, well, hold on. When these guys are being irony filled about like killing all landlords and capitalists and shit, they're just joking, and that's just LOL irony. But these other people here doing the clown honk memes, those are the real problems, right? And these are positions that I kind of hold, but man, you got to understand that's a really fucking hard line to walk, right? Do you understand that?
I do understand it's a hard line to walk, and it's not yours to walk. You don't have to. You can.
Well, but I kind of do. If I've got people, no, because I've lost people in my community that shit like this, and I didn't believe whatever. I appreciate having right-leaning voices in my community, and I've lost some of these, and it's really hard to try to defend. Like people making honk noises on YouTube are enabling Nazis, but people saying kill all capitalists are okay.
Kill all capitalists? We're all capitalists. Destiny.
Yes, but a lot of lefty people will say shit like this. So like, it's a really hard line to. One is okay, maybe not kill all capitalists, but at the very least, like kill all landlords, eat all landlords, or steal all the property back from the
landlords and all this. All of that is.
Look, and then I get fucking. And I don't.
Is
I'm sorry,
a manifestation of the outright anger that they feel at the
That's not an argument for any. I don't care about your manifestation of anger. Fucking people are mad at fucking Muslims, and they manifest their anger by fucking shooting up mosques. Like, it's also annoying that like so many lefties seem incapable of separating like their feelings on things from like any type of fact-based argument. So like, I can literally go on Twitter and or well, I'm not gonna use Twitter because I'm highly inflammatory there, but like, I'll make an argument where I say I don't believe in the concept of a living wage because I don't know if markets can necessarily bear that type of pressure. I think that we should make sure that people have living wages by addressing it via things like tax policy or a welfare system. I think that that's a healthy way to address it to ensure that people have all of their basic needs met, right? I can make a statement like that, and the way that all the lefties smile is, oh, Chud Bootlicker, you hate poor people and workers. And like, that's literally like the unanimous response from people on the left. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, this is literal fucking cancer. Like, I'm getting brain rot listening to this shit.
Wait, so I'm confused. So you're talking about like improving the material conditions in which workers exist, but people are still mad at you because you.
Yeah, I agree with yes. This is like the issue I've had 90% of the time. If you next to any incel Chapo dipshit, we probably agree like on 95% of our policy positions. But like, because I don't take like this pure hardline, another word for autistic approach to like fucking treating like workers like these holy fucking paradigms of reason or some stupid fucking shit. Like I'm literally like an alt-right Hitler.
Okay, no one thinks you're an alt-right Hitler, all right?
Man, I don't know. That Chapo thread had like fucking 700 comments where they're talking about like Molina and shit. It's like, what the fuck? It literally reads like a fucking cable file. Yeah, like basically, like as soon as I get hated by like any fucking community, like every thread starts to read the same. Like the thread on me on the Chapo subreddit was basically the same thread I would expect to see about me like in the Donald. And
wait,
like I had two threads
about it. Wait, hold on. Don't you think that that's always the same regardless? Because people just go for ad homs instead of actually addressing the things that you're saying. That always happens,
I guess, but it just makes me feel shit.
It happens with me too. Like everyone always goes back to the same fucking memes, whether it be like a liberal or someone who is further to the left of me. There's not that many people out there, but you know, or people in the alt-right or people who are conservatives. There's always nepotism. And
I guess, but like I feel like I'm unironically feeling like the horseshoe theory or some dumb shit where it's like, oh cool, well if left or right people, I literally pedophile, satanic, fucking whatever figure. I'm either a hardcore fascist, which apparently a lot of what people think I am. Just today, I had a 700 comment thread on Chapo Trap House about how horrible I am. And then I also had an article written about me about how much of an extreme leftist I am. And then I had a 300 comment thread today about me in the Donald about how an extreme leftist I am. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is the difference between any of these fucking communities? Like, what the fuck?
Okay. There are differences between good things and bad things. You know this.
Okay, listen.
But in that instance, no. Oh my God.
You just did the lefty meme to me. Do you understand? The fascism and protecting workers' rights. I literally can't tell the difference. Like you just did the dumb fuck meme. You understand that?
You didn't let me finish. In this instance, they're both attacking you, so it feels like both sides are the same. when the opinions and ideas of both sides are, of course, not the same. That was how I was going to finish that conversation.
Okay.
But again, people on Reddit talk a bunch of shit.
I think most of the upvoted takes I read was, even though Destiny chud bootlicking fascist, he's still a good pipeline, and even though I can barely tolerate watching his streams, I'll watch him because of that or something. It's like those are usually the most upvoted comments that I read.
People on the Chapo said that there were people in the Chapo subreddit that were saying nice things about you too. Listen, Chapo subreddit fucking talk shit on me too.
One tweet Andy, I don't want to be a one tweet Andy, but there are a lot of people tweeting me yesterday like, oh, like every fucking worker could be a really good manager, and managers don't do anything, and if the workers ran the world, it would be a way better place. Like, okay, dude, I don't know, man.
Anarcho-communists are going to have a completely different perspective than a Marxist-Leninist, both in how to bring about a socialist system, and also how a socialist system should run. So there are plenty of different ideas, so don't get caught up on one leftist person, especially because you and I both know that, unfortunately, leftist ideas are not necessarily broadly represented in media or even in our schools, in our institutions of education.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with anything you're saying. I'm cool with all of this as long as the fucking LARPers get the fuck out of my community, okay? I'll keep doing what I do. They can go fucking LARP.
They're not going to leave. I tell them to go back to your community too, but they won't leave. I guess the last question I have is, from all the conversations that we've had about capitalism and about you being a social democrat, what I still can't seem to understand is, unlike other even Keynesian economists and other social democrats, you admit that capitalism is inherently flawed because of the class antagonism built into the heart of it, right?
Well, no, I don't know if that's true at all. I don't necessarily think classes are bad.
Do you want me to describe it to you then? As a worker, you want to work the least amount of time for the most amount of pay. As a boss, you want your workers to do the exact opposite. You want them to work the most amount of time for the least amount of pay. The boss, ultimately, having more capital, having secured more capital, will end up dictating the terms and have outsized influence and an asymmetry of power, and therefore force the worker to work on his terms. This is the class antagonism that allows the wealth hoarding to occur under capitalism.
In a perfectly horrible capitalist world, sure, but I mean in the real world, right? Markets should set wages that aren't necessarily that horrible. That, for instance, because ideally somebody would want to open a firm up and pay somebody $2 an hour to do a job. They probably can't do that because another company is going to pay them more than $2 an hour, right?
There are definitely other forces in play. There's social pressure. There's collective bargaining in some countries, but I didn't assign any morality to it. There was no value judgment. I was just describing the different interests that a worker and a owner of capital or a boss would have, right?
Yeah, but then you went on to further make the claim that the boss is it sounded like you were saying the boss is 100% of the ability to set the wage here, which isn't necessarily true.
No, I didn't say 100% of the ability. I said they have more influence because they have more capital, and this allows them to hoard even more wealth.
Okay, wait, we're making different arguments now. So right now, it seems to be the case, at least in the West, or at least in the United States, the case that corporations probably hold a disproportionate amount of power versus workers. That seems to be an obvious case today. But when you make a statement like corporations will always or necessarily hold more power than the workers, then the solution there is going to be a lot different than saying well, corporations will always have more power over individuals, right? Because if you believe that corporations will always have more power over workers, regardless of circumstances, well, then the only solution is violent, fucking revolution. But if you believe right now that
some people do believe that, yeah.
Sure, that's fine. And fuck those people. Those are the people I don't give a fuck about. I don't care about any of their fucking opinions about anything, okay? But if you're somebody that believes that right now corporations have more power over workers, and that's something that can be remedied either with stronger unions or with some sort of federal enforcement of minimum wage laws or something, well, then there are different approaches that we can take. There are different policies that we can apply to rectify the situation, rather than just the blanket statement of, workers will never be able to negotiate anything, which is demonstrably not true.
Yeah, I mean, workers will be able to somewhat improve their living conditions, but if you even look at social democracies in Europe and the austerity measures being taken place in even places like Denmark or Sweden, you'll realize that the erosion of the welfare state in these countries are, again, still a consequence of capitalist corporations, their influence over legislation, the decisions that capitalist governments make that still end up taking away these social programs from workers.
What you just told me there is that's a take that I don't know if I even necessarily disagree with you. But what you're arguing against right now, what you're literally saying, because these are all democratic countries, what you're literally saying is people are too fucking stupid to vote in their own interest. So maybe democracy is the problem here, not necessarily any form of economy, because these are all still democratic nations, right? The United States isn't where it's at on accident, right? Like we vote for the people. Like look how many people in the Rust Belt vote against their own economic interests when they vote in people like Trump, and then cheer when he gives tax cuts to the wealthiest people in the United States and pretend it helps them. So what is the problem here? Is it capitalism? Is it rent-seeking behavior in capitalism? Or is it that voters are too stupid? Or is it a bad education system that doesn't educate voters? Like, what's the problem?
Bad education system creates an uneducated populace. An uneducated populace oftentimes votes against their self-interest and votes for reactionary politicians who point the finger of blame at immediate things that they can get angry at. And when they do that, you implement more austerity measures.
Okay, but how did we
lose more power
lose
to corporations?
Okay, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Okay, and you can tie a very neat bow around it and make it sound like the problem is capitalism. But I could tie the same neat little bow around it and say, well, look, the problem is people are fucking stupid because we had better education and it seems like we voted it away. We had stronger unions and it seems like we voted it away. Like, it's not like capitalists are single-handedly doing this. We don't have a fascist government in the U.S. We don't have a totalitarian government. We are still a representative democracy. All of these things that we've lost, all of the power that the workers have lost, they themselves have voted away. So, I mean, like, we're at the end of the day, where the fuck, like, and now you're telling me that these same people need to be put back in charge now that they have less education than ever because of what they voted for, now that they have less representation in the workplace as ever because of the people they voted for. Like, how am I supposed to be left there thinking that the average person should be left in charge of the workplace when they're the ones themselves that have gotten themselves into this own fuck place? It's a representative democracy.
When every institution that disseminates information is talking about talking about specific things in unison as though they are unachievable. Let's use Medicare for All as an example. Medicare for All was regarded as a deeply unpopular idea. It was totally impossible to do. Barack Obama tried to push for the public option for single payer. People are still, in the Democratic Party, people are still saying, in the Democratic establishment at least, that Medicare for All is unfeasible. But the people want it. Why? Why did public polling on Medicare for All change so dramatically? It's because someone was out there on television screaming their fucking ass off day in and day out about how important it is. The reason why people are voting against their self-interest is because there haven't been a lot of vocal voices in the past that have had this much influence to lead people in the right direction. For them to actually even admit that certain progressive economic changes are feasible. And that we should demand it.
Like it sounds like you basically take one point of mine and then you kind of sort of respond to it, and then you say like 5,000 things that I agree with. Like, I don't even remember what the original point we responded to were, but I mean, like, it's a whole bunch of like things that but usually everything you say are things that I generally agree with. So like, I'm not gonna like disagree with anything. So I don't know where I'm at the end of the day.
But you're really cute. It's really cute when you do.
No, don't fucking say that, Raj. That's really fucking mean. Okay, fuck off.
What? It is what? I think he's cute. What's wrong?
Okay.
Because you're being dismissive of everything he's saying by saying he's cute. Hasan is more than just a pretty face. Raj is canceled. Raj, are you ready to join me on the Chapo sell hate train? Because they're about to go after. You're patronizing as fuck. You're going down, boy. Holy shit.
Are they taking me out? Hasan,
you're canceled now. See ya, buddy.
It's not me. I'm not doing it again. Fuck you guys, man. It's literally one point. If you're that fucking retarded that you can't understand a single fucking point, like third world exploitation, then I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
Ableism, weird champ.
Why are you being ableist right now?
Yeah,
Where
fuck your ableist ass fucking
happened.
chat then. Holy shit, dude. Are you happy? You fucking triggered me. There you go, you dumbasses. Oh, I can't understand one point he's making. It's one fucking point.
Now, I think we should just take a step back.
Okay, wait. Can we all let's find a point of agreement, okay?
Let's just think about.
I love you, Hasan. I'm pretty sure that we agree on 95%. But the original point I made was that all internet. Fuck. Can we come to an agreement? Can we agree that all internet? All communities are cancerous as fuck. Can we agree with that? Is that over?
Yeah, sure. There's cancerous elements to every community.
Okay, that's all I needed. Okay. I love you very much, but I have to leave to go to bed soon. Okay. Stay safe, Roberino, cappuccino,
Right.
cappuccino. Okay, be careful.
Good night, guys.